Greetings and welcome to the wonderful world of Revit. And what I would like to introduce you to today, if you are not already aware of this plugin, is um, something called Enscape. And it can be used with SketchUp or Rhino, but today I will be showing a couple basic tricks and basic introduction to Enscape for Revit. So after you download Revit, or yeah, I guess you need Revit, and then you download Enscape, which you can get a 2-week trial version or longer if you're a student. Once it's installed, you can go over on the Enscape tab right here, and basically what it does is allows you to have live or real-time rendering that you can walk around in, just like a video game. So it allows you to go into your model and make changes and just set up some views and explore, do whatever you want. I mean, the ceiling's pretty high on this one. So what you do here is you just hit resume updates, and it brings you to this this Enscape view here. So I'm inside one of these apartment complexes here on my project. So there's a theater right there. We'll walk around, and there's rehearsal spaces over on this complex over here. I don't like the arrow button with the control to move faster. I personally like to scroll because you can fly around and stuff, and get all sorts of aerial views. But I personally, I mean, I suppose if you wanted to go really fast, you control arrow, do it here. It'll get you around. But I personally like the mouse scroll button, but it's kind of preference. There's a couple things that aren't listed on this control panel here that you can do. Or orbiting will get you around really quick, right, with the right button on the mouse, and then looking around with the left button. WASD is just like a video game. You can also use the arrows. Holding shift and right button on the mouse will alter the sunlight, and then you can get rid of that instructions with H, and then there's a map, which could be pretty handy on some more complex, larger projects that span greater areas, as M, and then spacebar will drop you down to earth. So here I am. This is a northwest corner of this project. If you go back into the Revit panel, you can see that, well, you can enable the HTC Vive if you want to do that. I don't have one, but I would love to test that out someday. We'll get into screenshot exports in a bit. Creating views is very much the same as what you do for creating views within Revit, except I find it to be more, directly correlated with what you're going to be looking at, because if you're going to look at a view, you want to know what it looks like before you drop it in, instead of dropping it in and then finding the view. So Enscape basically, it does essentially what you can do in Revit, but just better. And these panoramics we'll get into, but the settings is what I wanted to show you right this moment. So what you do here is you open up the panels, and there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do here. change it to white mode. So it just makes everything a flat white. You might want to, you know, use that for certain rendering, certain, you know, composite drawings. Same with the polystyrol mode. An architectural 2 points perspective could be interesting. It takes away the perspectival z-axis, so as you look up, the top of the building is going to be the same width. It's a little bit of a strain on your eye, but you might want to do that for certain presentations if you want that type of projection. Some of these other things, you know, you can test around if need be. They're similar to sort of general alterations that you can do post-production in Photoshop, but you can get a quicker hand on what's actually happening. And if you make a bunch of changes and you want to reset the tab, you can just hit reset the tab, which is always good. So what I want to get, and these other things are just more bells and whistles on customization, but I want to get into making a change within a room. So I'm going to walk through this door. So I won't be able to open the door, at least that I know of, but you can walk through it just like it is a door. So I'm in this room here, and so this is a theater. You can always hit spacebar if you want to go back down to earth. So I want to look at this wall here. So I'm going to try out another wall texture. So I know where I am based on the map. You know, this is a small enough project, so I know that I'm right down here. So what I want to do is actually, so what you want to do here is select that wall and then go into edit type, edit structure on the tab, and then you'll get the panel for the different types. You want to hit finish. You'll bring up your material browser library right here, click whatever material you want, and right now I'm just choosing a wood finish. You want to hit the other finish type, which is on your material properties panel, and then hit, you could change it, but I'm using the same one on both sides of the finish here. So once I go back in, you can see that it changes in real time, and voila, you have a wood door finish here. So that's how quick it is with Enscape, and you can make quick changes. So what I'm doing here is actually going back in and going back into the same edit type, material, structural properties, and changing the appearance. So you click over on the tab, there's graphics and appearance, and you change the finish to a satin varnish. This is just one example of many of changes you could make, but I'm just choosing to change the satin varnish here and change the other finish type under the Appearance tab. And then, so you hit OK. Then the changes will take place again, and the shininess should go down because I changed its properties. And yep, you can notice there in real time. So you can see how powerful this can get. You know, obviously you have to have a powerful enough computer, but you know, it can be quite a handy tool for design. And what I'm doing here is showing how you can just plop in a component. This is just another example of something you can use as a way to design. You know, obviously a piece of art is not very architectural, but if you go into architecture tab, components, and then after downloading whatever components you want, I picked up a list of things from RevitCity.com. There are other options, but I found this Van Gogh painting, and then after you go in, sometimes it doesn't seem like, oh, there's the scroll bar right there. And once you see that Enscape orange bar, you know that it's loading in, and there it is right there. So after this, I'm going to move on to another scene here to show you, you know, kind of what you can do to get towards more of a finished product. So going into the Enscape tab, going over to screenshots, and then going over to the views. And so I'm just going to go back to the north entrance on this particular project. And what I'm doing here is I'm just exporting this view from Enscape, and then use screenshot to file, and then it'll export it as a PNG file. So after you do that and you save it, you can then drop it into your Photoshop software. And then I also have an all white render of the same view, but a PNG. And I'm just going to do a quick run through of something that's very handy. And I just plop the same view on top, and then using, so there's the layer on top in Photoshop is a white one, and the one below it is the rendered view. And I just open up an eraser tool in Photoshop, very light setting on it, and am just revealing colors from behind there, and also the shininess on the texture. You know, there's a whole variety of things that can happen here, and whoever's viewing this, you know, can take whatever view they want from Enscape. It doesn't have to be the white overlaid with the other one. You could mix different. I actually would love to see, I'd try this out after this, the result of putting sort of a shifted view on top of another shifted view. It could be easily terrible doing that, but you know, you could create some motion in the view that could be quite powerful if you're if you're going for that message. So yeah, it's just I won't bother you with showing you the finished product here, but I just want to show how easy it was. So here I am at the front entrance to the theater complex next to the rehearsal building. So here on this front stoop area, and say for example you need to show a quick snapshot of what it looks like to come through here, just sort of to give an overall view. What you would do is under Enscape you hit video and camera path start position. Then you walk through to where you want to end. And then point the camera in the direction where you'd want to face. And then you hit video stop position. To look at that, you do preview video, and it gives you a nice run through. It's a little bit fast, but it could come in handy in a presentation if you had if a client or professor requested that you show a certain snap through, it could come in very handy just to have that snapshot, so you wouldn't have to actually walk through. So here we are back at the beginning, the same apartment complex or apartment room that we were started out with, and just want to sign off with a thank you for viewing this whole time, and I hope that you have seen the potential in this program and the usefulness in architectural design, same way that I do. And if you have a chance to download this, again, it's for SketchUp, Rhino, and Revit. So this is just Revit, obviously. So the potential is there to experiment with other programs. I don't know how well the material syncs up with those other ones, but it's definitely worth your time if you're into architecture and design. So with that, I sign off and have a good one. Thank you.